I'm from inside São Paulo and I'm with Sebastian Doggart. He is the director of the movie Cartoon Country on the 33rd Mostra do Cinema Internacional of São Paulo, Movie Festival of São Paulo, and he will talk with us for a while. Sebastian, how are you feeling inside São Paulo?
Sao Paulo is great. It's very welcoming. It's fun. Lots of things to do. Interesting people. It's a terrific city.
Great. What do you think about this festival, this movie festival? How has it been?
It's a huge festival. There's 400 films from around the world, so it's quite bewildering sometimes. But it's very well organized. Great team of people organizing it. The questions and the question and answer sessions are very intelligent and interesting, and we've gone to some fascinating places. So I think it's a world-class festival. It's a very important festival.
It's your first time here on this festival?
First time to Brazil. First time to this festival.
How was the application, application process to this festival?
I think there's a huge amount of films that apply to festivals like this. I mean, thousands and thousands. Sundance, I know, this year has 10,000 applications for 130 slots. So we're very honoured to have been chosen here. But we applied through an organisation called Without a Box, where you put in all the information, we send the DVD, and then we were selected, and then they kindly invited both me and the composer Carol Connors to come down. So we feel very privileged to have been treated with such hospitality and warmth. So the application process was pretty painless.
Okay. Like Cartoon Country, the movie, it's intitulated musical docu-tragic comedy, and brings the story of a musician's attempts to win the heart of the world's most powerful woman, Condoleezza Rice. How did this idea came to you?
Well, Rice was voted in 2005 the world's most powerful woman. And that's fascinating as a filmmaker. It makes me think of Cleopatra. It makes me think of amazingly powerful goddesses, Isis, Aphrodite. And here is this woman who's not particularly understood. How could she have become the most powerful woman? She's also flown a lot beneath the radar of the media. So here was a story that I felt needed to be told, and I was excited to tell it. And so we started investigating from her roots in Alabama in the South, through her political calling, through her relationship with the Bush family, to come to this position of enormous power. What we didn't realize was how dark the journey once inside the corridors of power would be. How she would become corrupted by power, as power tends to corrupt everyone, even your wonderful President Lula. His wonderful principles, once he comes to the corridors of power, can easily disappear. Where's his socialism now? Where are Rice's values now? Power corrupts, and that's our story. It's a classic story. It's a story for Brazil. It's a story for the United States. It's a story forever. It's a story of King Lear. It's a story of Macbeth. It's a story of...
Could you meet her?
We tried I've met her in my dreams a lot. I've slept with her for many years in my dreams, and they've been dark, dark dreams. She does not like this film. She has done everything she can to stop us meeting her. She actually, when we were in Washington DC, she had security guards who were constantly following us to stop her getting anywhere near her. She didn't want her in the shot with us. So, no, we didn't meet her. I sent her the film for a Christmas present, but she never responded with a thank you letter. I don't know why.
You passed through her whole background trying to catch up her feelings. What do you think?
We're trying to paint a portrait of a woman, of a human being, and her soul, and what drives her emotions, certainly. And I do feel we achieved that. All of her contradictions. It's not just a portrait of evil. There's certainly, Augustine once said, there's no such thing as evil, just a gradual removal of good until nothing is left. And that, I think, is what you see generally with Rice, that portrait. I don't think she likes that portrait. It's not a portrait she would agree with. but I think it's a truthful portrait from my perspective and the perspective of all the people we interviewed. She does not want history to judge her like this. She wants to be president of the United States. And she has a chance of it in a Republican Party where very few women or black women are represented. And in, say, 2012, when they're going to need someone to fight Obama, she is a strong candidate to go up against Obama. So, but she doesn't want this portrait to be shown. But thank goodness for the First Amendment in the United States, which protects freedom of speech. So I can say these things and give a truthful portrait, and I just hope people listen.
Okay, and you as you just told, like she didn't want to have this move or something like that. But do you think that Bush government like interfered on it too?
Oh, absolutely. We were given $600,000 from Discovery, and 1 week before shooting, my attorney called me up and said they pulled out. Discovery pulled out because they'd been pressured by Karl Rove in the administration that this would be bad for their good relations with government. They said to me, you can either take $150,000, what we call a kill fee, which is basically go away and be quiet, or you can sue us and maybe you'll get the $600,000. I decided to choose the $150,000, so at least we could do something with that and make the film. So that was the first step. They then blocked us, trying to throw us off the Denver campus when we were shooting in Denver. Rice denied us access to some key archive in both Denver and Stanford. Then when we were in DC, we were raided by Rice's goons, by her security staff. They bugged us. You can see the bug under the table. If you go to YouTube, I'll give you the link. You can see that the interrogators come in, and then you know they've done all they can to stop us. But thank goodness America is a democracy. It's not a dictatorship, so they can't stop us.
Yeah, and on the movie there is like a line of people in front of the White House. And how did you get that people helping, like supporting you?
Well, we are the first. This is the first musical ever shot outside the White House. It's the first on Number. It's the first ever musical docu-tragic comedy in the history of cinema, and it's the first musical outside the White House. So we got actually the dancers are a synchronized swimming team, a local synchronized swimming team of teenagers who came and danced first. And then some people were just going to visit the White House, and we said, come in, you know. And Devin said, join the rally. And then we went down, and of course, he thinks that Rice is inside there, but in fact he wasn't in the White House. She wasn't in the White House, she was in the State Department. So then we have to travel half a mile or a mile to the State Department. But the idea there is 1950s musicals, the great processions that went down the streets in the MGM musicals. We're trying to create that sense as well as, you know, him courting her. He's a man in love with a woman, just singing a song to her in classic serenading fashion.
I found out a lot of information about your background, and you started your career in Peru.
Are you a policeman? You're not in the police.
No, I'm
special services.
No.
My background, there's some shady moments in the background. My third wife, for example, who's not here anymore, but anyway. She died in a strange gardening accident. But don't talk to me about that. I can't talk about my ex-wife.
No, okay, I won't ask you about it. You've been in Peru and Argentina, and before you go into Cambridge, and then ended as a movie director. Tell me more about this path you took in your career. How was it?
I guess I'm interested in fascinating characters. That's probably the thing that runs through it, whether or not I was studying Karl Marx or I did a version of King Lear, or I did a TV show about Madonna, and now about Condoleezza Rice. I've always been attracted to very interesting, complex, labyrinth personalities and what drives them. So that's probably been the running theme of my professional life is shining light on these people, telling stories which engage people, which touch, make people laugh, make people think through other people's lives.
Okay, and what comes next after Curtin County?
Well, we have one of the things we discovered in this film is the extraordinary role Rice had in so many different key events over the last 9 years, in failing to warn properly about 9/11, about the attacks, in the authorizing and use of torture around the world. It was Rice, as NSA, who authorized these techniques, which are much worse than just the waterboarding, stress positions that have been reported so far. They include genital mutilation, they include electrocution, they include fingernail extraction, done in secret black sites around the world. So we've just created a film called American Faust, which comes out in 2 weeks' time, and is then available for download at americanfaust.com from December the 2nd. But it reveals these. It's going to be pretty sensational because if it's investigated, she will be tried as a war criminal. Now, this would be the highest ranking American official in history to have been tried as a war criminal. And you know, others, Karadzic at the moment in The Hague is being tried as a war criminal. But Rice, under US law and international law, should be tried as a war criminal for these allegations. So that's our objective, is really to get information to the public, to have her tried, investigated and tried as a war criminal. It premieres in Denver on the 21st of November, and then it's online for download or for DVD purchase on December the 2nd. And you can either go to indiesdirect.com or americanfaust.com. Fausto Americano. americanfaust.com.
Okay.
So everyone in Brazil can download it, and you can see this film. It's a very dark tale, but we'll also be making available Courting Condi. So your viewers and readers can watch Courting Condi as well if they go to courtingcondi.com.
How about the movie industry? Like, I've heard like that you are such a pro, like a self distribution movie. Tell me a little bit about that.
I think all filmmakers, Brazilian, we have a brotherhood of independent filmmakers which we must keep to, we must fight for that. So I'd like to help any filmmakers I could on that. The biggest problem with filmmaking is distribution. You make your film, you probably spent all your life savings, and then it's time to get it out there, and hopefully you're going to see some money back. At this point, you have all these pirates coming in, distributors they're called, who basically want to take 50 to 80% of your revenue for themselves, not having risked anything, and you get nothing. The worst pirate is Weinstein, Harvey Weinstein, the ultimate distributor, failed director turned distributor. But filmmakers now have a chance to do what happened in the music industry, which is to distribute themselves. And we're starting to do that with a site called indiesdirect.com. And that means that indie filmmakers can put their film up on our site. They pay a very small commission to us, but they get all of the proceeds. And all of that money can then be used for their next film, or to repay their team, or themselves, or their mother, or whoever put the money up for the film. So it's democratizing the process of distribution. Filmmaking has been so democratized by the cheap cameras, the excellent cheap cameras, the editing software, but still distribution is a dictatorship. It's a dictatorship run by the studios. So we want to smash down the studio system. We want Disney out, Paramount out, Sony out, and we want the filmmakers. We want to switch the pyramid the other way around and have the filmmakers become empowered. So it's a kind of a revolution. And so I'm calling on all the Che Guevaras of the filmmakers to come out and to throw down the system and find a way to do what they want to do, which is to make films. And make films which challenge, not these crap Hollywood formats like Transformers and Surrogates and all of these really strong films. The kind of films that are at this festival. And I urge people to come to this festival and see some of the amazing independent films.
pretty good and it's pretty close to happen.
It has happened in the music industry. All of the music, so many music companies have collapsed. The Arctic Monkeys pioneered this when they said, we're not going to take the record deal. We are going to be the people who distribute straight to our fans. And then when they did that, all of the record companies, Capitol, Sony, just started absolutely shivering with terror because they realized that they're being called for what they are. They're an emperor with no clothes. They say, you need a recording contract in order to make it as a musician. It's not true. It's just we as filmmakers need to learn just a little bit about the distribution, a little bit about the publicity, and then we can use social networking sites, Facebook, Twitter, all of these new tools to get the message out. And once a person says, oh my God, Diego's film is amazing, you must see his film, they'll tell one other person, and it grows like a virus.
Yeah.
And then people will buy it. And that's the structure I think filmmakers need to take on, and then that will sustain their careers.
And it's easy to get reach. As much as people see you, like as much as you like get your own public.
You find your own market, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Because people want different things. People want, lesbian nuns, or they want surfing in the Amazon, or they want these niches. Exactly. You can't universalize anymore. You can't just say everyone wants to see Iron Man 6. It's not the case anymore. They've just bought up. Who's bought up? One of the big studios has just bought up all the Marvel comics for billions because they think, oh, this is the only way that the whole world can be unified by these superheroes. Well, I think people are frustrated about that. They want things which speak to their lives, and superheroes only speak to them on a very superficial level.
Yeah, and the most beautiful thing is like you can choose your own content.
Yeah,
sure.
Exactly.
And just like one thing more about São Paulo, like what have you done here in the city? I know that you're pretty busy, but like would you go out for a drink or like know a little bit of the city?
Yeah, I went to a wonderful restaurant called the Figueira Figueira, which had a huge fig tree, which was beautiful. Went to the Parque Trianon, which is like a little bit of the rainforest in the middle of the city.
Yeah.
Went to the Pinacoteca, Pinacoteca, one of the most beautiful museums I've ever seen. Right up there with the Prado, or with the Tate Modern, or the Getty Museum in LA. Actually, I think it's the most beautiful museum I've ever seen in architecture terms. So we've seen some wonderful things in the city. And then I was I think it's a wonderful city.
Yeah, like what's your advice for who is watching us, like the place to be in São Paulo for you, among all of the things?
I think the Parque Trianon was the most enchanting. I mean, it seemed to have all of life in there. There were prostitutes and lovers and drug dealers and businessmen and
democratic part.
It was very democratic, very like the 7 ages of man, all represented.
Pretty good. Nice to meet you.
And very nice to meet you too.